Okay, so before we get this video underway, I wanted to say big shout out to Cami Granato, newest Vancouver Canucks assistant general manager. For anybody who is asking, by the way, NHL teams can have more than one AGMs, which is what the Canucks now have with Castonguay and Cami Granato, of course, here. She is a very decorated hockey player. We already talked about this at the end of the Yaroslav Halak video from last night, so you can go ahead and check that out. But brand new Canucks executive, Rutherford, Alvin, Granato, Castonguay. I really do like the way this roster is shaping up. Not the roster like the on-ice roster, but the roster as in the executives. Very, very good collective group of people over here. But either way, let's go over onto our main Canucks topic of the day. Vancouver fans. Vancouver Canucks fans have gone out there and started talking at length about one player in particular over the past, let's say, day and a bit. It is indeed New York Rangers prospect Vitali Kravtsov, and he's a player that is entering the Canucks conversation sphere because of this article published on The Athletic by Thomas Drance and Rick Dhaliwal. Inside the start of a new Canucks regime, what's next for Brock Besser, and trade deadline targets. Now, as always, we're not going to screenshot any of this because this is on The Athletic, therefore it is paid for material. We don't want to go ahead and do that behind a paywall. So, what we're going to do is go on to Twitter and take a look at the entire conversation that is sparked up because of this article. Pretty much when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks and the New York Rangers, there are connections with this team in more ways than one. We've talked about the New York interest in JT Miller, we've talked about the New York interest in Luke Schenn, we've discussed all these things and a little bit more with these players and all that over the past few weeks. And when it comes to what the Vancouver Canucks might actually be targeting from New York, this is what was said in the article. Taj on Twitter has a quote. He says, "An intriguing name that we keep hearing linked to the Canucks as a player that they highly regard is prospect Vitali Kravtsov." And then, it's actually kind of confirmed a little bit later on, Drance and Dhaliwal's column reporting the Canucks have interest in Kravtsov in general. It's not necessarily linked to a JT Miller trade. And so, the past day and a bit has been filled with a lot of conversation from Canucks fans about this prospect. And, you know the meme that everybody likes to bring up every time a situation like this comes around? Oh, everybody's all of a sudden a Vitali Kravtsov expert. Everybody has an opinion about this guy because everybody wants to know, okay, is it going to happen? Is he going to get traded? This and that and the other thing. I get it. Everybody kind of has their own opinion right now, but here's mine. So I wanted to make this video mostly because I have been sort of chronicling the Kravtsov story for a while now, ever since the guy had all these conversations about him being in a weird development path a year ago with the Hartford Wolfpack. This Kravtsov thing is not new. It has been kind of in this muddy water territory for a pretty significant amount of time, and just taking a look at what this guy is up to now, he still has not reported to the AHL. He's not going to report to the AHL until he gets traded and he's a part of a different AHL organization. And he's just been chilling out in Russia, doing his thing. So, Vitali Kravtsov going over the profile right here, 22 years old, 6'2", 187. He's a left-handed right-wing player, drafted in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft 9th overall by the New York Rangers. He is signed till the end of the season, but okay, contract doesn't really matter with this guy. He's likely not going to be too expensive when you have to re-sign him. But his development path has been strange. The reason why he went 9th overall in 2018 is because he was such a beast in the KHL playoffs that season, getting 11 points in 16 games played with Tractor Chelyabinsk. The next year, though, he was at half a point a game in the regular season, and he was a point per game at the World Juniors. Going over to the Hartford Wolfpack, he did play over there, but in 2019-20, that's also the year where we had very interesting discussions about how he was getting slowed down and how he didn't really know what was happening with his development and how there were mixed signals going on. We've made videos about that back when the events occurred based off of a few interviews he did in Russian, so go ahead and check that video if you do, please. But last season was kind of a weird one. He played the first half of the year in the KHL, getting 24 points in 49 games again, so another half-point-a-game year. And then in the New York Rangers system, he had 4 points in 20 regular season games played. Now, because he only played 20 games, he's still technically eligible for the Calder this year and beyond. He's still technically a rookie and a prospect, so he still hasn't really broken into the NHL per se yet. This season, though, was supposed to be a big one. The New York Rangers went out there and they traded away Pavel Buchnevich, who was a really good middle six Russian scoring forward on the right side, for Sammy Blais. They needed to add some toughness, and they did that in the bottom six forward in Blais, but a lot of people speculated, okay, now that Buchnevich is gone, that's another spot in the top middle six-ish area of the lineup where Vitali Kravtsov, who is also a right-wing player, can come in and fill that role. This makes sense. Unfortunately, once the regular season came around, the New York Rangers actually sent Kravtsov down in favor of keeping Libor Hajek, who is a blue liner, on their roster instead, and Kravtsov was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to the AHL. I kind of have a contractual obligation to do so, but screw that. I'm going away. And so the Rangers, acknowledging that this guy did not want to go, they went out there and they were like, okay, yeah, we're going to put him on the market. He's on the market. We're going to try to trade this guy, try to give this guy a new home. And NHL Insider Information came out with more things saying, okay, Kravtsov would actually be okay playing in the AHL as long as it's not with the Rangers and the Wolfpack organizations. He is not going to report to the AHL until he gets traded. And so now he's been in Russia doing his thing. He's at 13 points in 19 games played on loan. And that's pretty good. But I mean, when it comes to the development of top-tier prospects for the New York Rangers, we already saw with Elias Anderson what happened with him. He was a 7th overall pick in 2017, taken 2 picks after Elias Pettersson, who was the initial Rangers target. He got sent away to the LA Kings for a 2nd-round pick after all the drama over there concluded. Now for Kravtsov, we have seen different teams go out there actually potentially express interest, and apparently the Vancouver Canucks are one of them. And I'll just say this right here. Sure, the Vancouver Canucks do need more scoring forwards on their team, especially when it comes to the rest of their lineup. I'm sorry, Dickinson. I'm sorry, Lamico. You guys get it done once in a while, but it's not enough for this team to become as good as we want it to be. Top guys, Garland, Miller, Besser, Horvat, and of course Elias Pettersson, these guys have started picking up the pace a little bit over the past few games, and so that's kind of what we want to see. But the rest of the lineup needs to be able to pitch in once in a while. And for Vitali Kravtsov, a lot of people already thought that this guy would have been able to break into the NHL and actually have a role with the Rangers this season already. It's just the Rangers and the weird development path they had for this guy said, okay, we'll just keep Hajek instead. We'll send you down to the AHL. Now, do I think Vitali Kravtsov is going to be a player that a 9th overall draft pick would indicate? Probably not. I don't really know if he has that development path in him. And the draft pick, to be honest, was just kind of a product of his really good playoff run in 2018. But do I see Kravtsov maybe maxing out as a 15-20 goal guy, maybe a middle six player who gets upwards of 40-45 points on a season? I could probably see that in the long term if this guy actually develops properly upon returning to North America. Now, what exactly would the price be? I have no idea, because we've been talking about Kravtsov trade rumors literally since last year, and I get it, I'm making a joke, oh, last year was 2021, it's just a month ago, Lego, but seriously, once the season began and we had all the drama about him not wanting to report to the AHL, that's when the can of worms opened and we had all these discussions about other teams that were interested in this player, and the Vancouver Canucks apparently seem to be one of them, even if that context is not involving a JT Miller trade. So, I don't know, if the Vancouver Canucks are able to pull off a trade with a Miller or, I don't know, maybe a Garland or whatever, then I could understand Kravtsov being kind of involved there. It's just, if you're trading away Miller for Kravtsov, it's Kravtsov plus. You're not getting just a Kravtsov. There certainly would need to be at least another first-round pick, and maybe somebody else added on there too, because Miller is a very valuable player, and we've discussed that at length before, so you can go ahead and check out any of the other videos talking about Miller and what I believe he should be worth on the market. Not even what I believe, but what other NHL insiders believe he should be worth on the market. It is kind of funny, though, how the Vancouver Canucks apparently do see this amount of value in this guy, and this is the first name to pop up, because I saw a lot of people going out there and saying, oh, why are they interested in Kravtsov? They need defense. And it's like, okay, well, that doesn't really make sense, because just saying they're interested in Kravtsov does not mean they're not interested in like a Braden Schneider or a Niels Lundqvist or any other defender that could be possibly brought up in a Miller trade, right? Saying, oh, they're interested in Kravtsov does not dismiss the idea of them being interested in anybody else, right? So yeah, I could understand if they're interested in any of the other defenseman prospects that the Rangers have as well. It's just this name happened to be the one that leaked out first to the media, and it happens to be one of the more let's just say, conversational pieces within the Rangers organization. So talk to me in the comments, what do you think about the idea of Vitali Kravtsov coming over to the Vancouver Canucks and their potential interest in this guy? Do you see him being a piece in a JT Miller trade, or maybe any other trade that involves a Luke Schenn or something? Let me know in the comments all your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.